This is the Mind Body Detox Podcast, where we discuss all things integrative health and wellness, interviewing folks from all over the world, sharing insights and wisdom for how to live a healthier life in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back, everyone, to the Mind Body Detox Podcast. I'm your host, Mind Body Medium Kara Lovehart, and today we're going to talk about manifestation. And specifically, our guest today says that manifestation isn't toxic positivity, wishful thinking, or a magical vending machine, although we wish it would be, right? It's a creative, embodied process that requires meeting your shadow. So this is the juicy type of stuff that I've been wanting to talk about for years. And I find it interesting being in this work for a long time. Manifestation isn't new, but for some of you it is. And so we want to cover some of that stuff and some interesting, unique tools that you can use for manifesting in your life. So our guest today also is our book club author for the month of January. And her name is Stefanie Caponi. She is an astrologer, a tarot reader, illustrator, and the best-selling Hay House author of Guided Tarot, which has sold over 175,000 copies. Stefanie's work centers on shadow integration, which you guys have listened to some past episodes. This is so important to all of the conversations that we talk about on here. Creativity, and using tarot as a deeply practical tool for healing and self-trust. Stefanie's newest book is our January book for the Spiritual Steep Book Club, and it's called Tarot for Manifestation. It reframes manifestation as an intentional, embodied process, one that blends tarot, visualization, journaling, and what she calls love letters to the universe. Stefanie's work has been featured in Well and Good, The Every Girl, Refinery 29, and Elite Daily. And she's known for helping people move beyond spiritual bypassing into real sustainable change. So I'm excited for us to explore tarot as another supplemental tool in manifestation in a way that's grounded, compassionate. So let's dive into it and let's bring on Stefanie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Kara. I'm happy to be here.
I am really excited because not only does your book resonate with me, some of our Spiritual Steep Book Club listeners are already really gearing up to this interview because we just started the book. And I think that this work in manifesting in general is so important because people are really learning about it. It might be new, it might be something they've done for a long time, but I find any way that you can utilize new tools and understanding this in depth is just like the way to personal empowerment. So let's dive in and talk about myth busting in general, just start off right out of the gate, right? So manifestation, I'd say, is more everywhere in more that we have social media and people can find more about this particular topic. What do you think in general people get wrong about manifestation? Anything that you've learned with working with clients?
So, what I've seen is that people get really excited when they learn about the concept of manifesting and they cannot wait to dive into it. They have something in their hearts that they are desiring and they throw themselves into it, and then they expect to see the change happen 5 minutes later. And then when it doesn't come through instantly or within a couple of days, a week, a month, then lose their hope about it. And then they get really bummed out. And then they start noticing she's getting this thing, they're getting this thing, and they start to see the thing that they want coming up all around them. And then they're like, it's happening to everybody except me. And in manifestation, that actually means something. And it's not that. When you start to see everybody getting the thing that you want, that means that it's around you. And the universe is like seeing, have you done the internal work, the internal identity work, and the shadow work to accept this in your own life? So it makes you aware of all of your shadow before you get the thing. And people get really impatient.
I think the impatience is normal, especially if you find out something that you see all your friends are doing. You're like, this is working for them. And that's what you stated is really something that's concerned me over the years, where I do feel like people can get in this really victim, that disempowered space. But I definitely think it's a call to work with the shadows, which is what we're going to dive into today, because I love that this is what you dive into for the book. But I'd love to see if you have any examples for us for, like, when people say this isn't working for me or it's not working out, like of clients or people or yourself, that we can get an example of maybe what shifted for it to start to show up then.
I see this a lot with relationships and pregnancies. Like those are the top two things that I see the most. Most of my clients are women, and a lot of people are trying to manifest relationships. They start to see other people getting into those relationships and having the types of relationships that they're wanting, or the classic wanting to take things further in your relationship. And then you start to see all your friends getting engaged. And you're like, they were with this person for 10 minutes and I've been like waiting 10 years and it's not, the relationship isn't progressing. And so a lot of the work is around reframing. A lot of times, like those people come and get tarot readings, and what we discover is that maybe they're in the wrong relationship, or they're not on the same page in their relationship, and the universe is trying to say, hey, this thing that you really want is available for you, but here are the changes that you need to make within yourself, whether it's expectations, whether it's changing your relationship. For me, as my personal example, I really wanted to be married, and I had been in a relationship for years and watched everybody else get the relationship, get the marriage, get the house, get the family. And I was like, and I'm like helping them get these things. Like I'm working with them. And I'm like, and I was getting really frustrated. And this is before I wrote the book, and realized that it was the universe was screaming at me to make some changes. And I also, again, like with pregnancies, I had friends and clients that are really down in a depression about family expansion and having real fertility issues. And then seeing a sister or a friend or somebody getting pregnant and it's all around them. And then it's like when they finally give up.
Yes. That's the secret sauce there.
And exactly, it's like that's the surrendering portion of it. And it's got a lot to do with surrender. All manifestation is really nervous system work
Yes.
and
Agreed.
identity work.
Yes. Yeah. I think that the universe is the absolutely best teacher. And right now, I don't know about what the collective is experiencing, but at the same time, this is where I try to differentiate from myself as a personal level and the collective, and the paradox of we're all actually evolving collectively and manifesting collectively. So even though it feels like, well, I'm in my own little life and these are the things happening to me, if you really step back and look, that's sort of a huge theme. And it's a theme of how do we wield our power and how do we move out of a victim consciousness into empowered consciousness. And all the tools that you're offering in this book are really an amazing way to do that. And I know that inner work, and we have to really move into how do we connect in with these patterns and these beliefs and things like that. So you position tarot as a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious mind. So I'd love to hear your perspective on why tarot reveals information that might be blocked, helps you identify affirmations, and how it works versus affirmations or vision boards for manifestation, because it's a little bit different.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, I love affirmations. I love vision boards. I do a vision board every year. I think it's so much fun. I love the creativity and flow and possibilities, but I also really love that tarot is confrontational, but it's not mean spirited. It will always be honest with you, but it will never bully you. And it's a conversation that you're literally having with, whether you want to call it the universe, your higher self, your spirit guides, it's your subconscious. However that presents for you, you know that you're really just diving in beyond your ego and beyond the thing that you want versus, okay, what are these stories? Where's my inner child that feels really unsafe? How can we get all of this on the same page so that we can have life change? I started my journey with tarot primarily using it for shadow work and for trying to sort through the mess that my life felt like it. And I was like, how did I get here? How do I untangle? It was like a giant knotted necklace. And it was like, how do I untangle this metal that I can't pick apart? And tarot really helped me kind of gently sit with some hard truths. And with manifestation, if you want something and it's not coming into your life, you need to have some hard conversations. And I don't think that really exists outside of yourself.
Yeah. Like in the creative process of creating a vision board without maybe the confrontation of a tarot pool or even a good friend to say, hey, this is what you want, this is what you're looking to manifest, but where are you not looking at these parts? And that's something for those who are maybe new to this, haven't listened to any of our other episodes. Just a kind of a segue or a quick detour, how do you define shadow work for someone that doesn't know or has this is very new for them?
The things that live in our shadow are the things that we deem unacceptable about ourselves. The things that you try to hide. Like I would be, just as a personal example, I was a very jealous person. And you would come and tell me something great that happened in your life. And I would be like, oh my God, Kara, I'm so happy for you. Let me take you out to dinner. Let's celebrate this. Let's like share it. Like, how can I support you and elevate you? And then I would go home and spiral and be
Yeah,
like,
that was
what's wrong with me? Why am I not? And it was embarrassing. I want to tell people that. I don't want people to know that I'm like going home and beating myself up and thinking about what a failure I am and icky. But once I started talking about it, that's normal. You're not alone. We're feeling it too. And then it's like when you take it out and you shine a light on it, it kills its power. And it's, oh, it's okay. And also, once I acknowledged the jealousy, that's when I learned that those things that I was jealous of were teaching me qualities, because it's like the things you hide in your shadow are things you're ashamed of, but it's also like the qualities that you are jealous of in other people are also
mhm.
hiding in your shadow. I didn't
Yes.
realize that I wanted a completely different life for myself. Then it brings your gifts into the light.
When you were talking in your book about your jealousy as your shadow, it really lit me up because multiple things have been in your book that I haven't finished yet. I'm not finished reading. I'm at like chapter 7, I think. But I was super stoked about these little breadcrumbs the universe is putting in there for your journey and my journey. And readers, listeners out there, when you pick up a good book, or the universe delivers a book and it's just like, is this the right timing for you to listen? One of the first shadows that I was excavating within myself was my jealousy. Back when I first started, we have a program that goes along with the podcast. The Mind Body Detox program was like, let's get real with our emotions. This is before shadow work was really talked about publicly as a trending thing. And I didn't even use that term for it. But I remember when you said in the book about jealousy, I was like, yes, it's the thing. When you're jealous, just follow whatever it is, because that's what you really want. That's what you're trying to cultivate within yourself. You can do it. And I just felt so grateful to have that parallel and to know that you were sharing openly about that. I'm just curious if there's any other examples you have with clients, other examples of maybe shame patterns or things that were shadows that were blocking their manifestations that you might share. So we have some more examples for the audience.
So I really think that just going on the theme of intimacy and relationship building, I think that a lot of people get shameful about what they really want out of their relationships. And they don't realize that there's a lot of patterning that goes back to relationships that were modeled for you.
That's really, really good. I can definitely relate to that. And through the years, I'm not sure if you've experienced this. unwinding, you said that metal ball of tangled necklaces, like that illustration. The benefit I feel like of doing this work that's been so rewarding is each relationship that I've been in, professionally, romantically, familial, has improved because of looking at the self and being looking at where, and it's just like it just a gift that keeps on giving. Yeah. So with shadow, we talked about shame here, like being like this big thing that you talked about. So one of the quotes from your book that I really loved was, healing your shadow is one of the keys to manifestation. What you discover hiding in your shadows is directly connected to what is blocking your manifestations from materializing. So I just wanted to read that because I felt that was really important. And I think when you talk about jealousy, of course, fear, doubt, but also comparison as a part of the process of kind of becoming aware of this. So, how do you think people can work with those emotions without turning it to self-blame through the process of manifestation?
I think, and there's tarot spreads for all of these things in the book because you can really work with that component to see things from a perspective of taking yourself out of the situation, of looking at what comparison is trying to teach you rather than focusing on the actual comparison. I think that when you're really passionate about something, like for example, like in tarot and it's spirituality and wellness, when you're in that world, it looks like the algorithm of your life looks like everybody else is also doing it. Even though we know darn that in our everyday lives, there's, I don't know, maybe 10% of your actual people that you're in contact with are doing the things that you're doing. A lot of us in real life, we're like unicorns.
That's a
People are
really,
like, you do what?
yeah, no, I love this topic actually. This is something, can I want to go into this because this is a conversation that I've been actually having with a lot of people, whether they're in our community or their clients, where it seems that the deeper you go down the path of self-awareness and self-attunement, the more attuned you become to other people and more aware you are of other people. And it seems to be this interesting thing that people are experiencing more of a gap than between them and their awareness and others. And although the intention for this work is to become more deeper in alignment with love of the self and all that, when other people aren't doing the work, it's sometimes more confusing or challenging to maintain intimacy because the level of intimacy you create with yourself is deeper than the level of intimacy someone else is able to meet you at. So this is a topic that's been over the last 2 months really hot, and it keeps coming up as a universal ping. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, or your experience with your journey or your clients with that process.
Yes, this is actually something that we discuss a lot. I think a lot of people come in and they're really sad because the people in their life that they want to be supporting them and celebrating them and understanding them are not the people that have done the work. They're the people you're healing from.
Yeah.
It's your parents and your siblings and your normal everyday community and long time friendships that those people haven't gone through what you're going through. So I really talk about boundaries around what you share and expectations. And remembering that those people, you can love them. You know what? It's like like loving what is and accepting people for where they're at and accepting that they're not necessarily meant to come on that journey with you. And that doesn't
Yes.
make them bad people. And it doesn't mean that you have to end the relationship. It just means that you have to either choose to edit yourself to protect your boundaries and like what you're sharing, and also adjust your expectations around getting that type of support from those particular people. You know, people
Yeah.
like I love, oh my God, I love my parents so much. They're great. They're so proud of me that I'm a published author. Have they ever read? No, because that's not their jam. That's not their lifestyle. It's not even their beliefs. And I hear from people all the time, I'm doing this great thing and my parents they don't get it, and they're not supporting me, and they're not happy for me. And it's like, they're, it's like you're speaking a different language to them and expecting them to speak it back to you when they've, so if you can adjust your expectations and have some strong boundaries, then you can fully participate with in those relationships and
It's not,
manifest the type of people that are going to be able to really support you and see
mhm.
you.
Yeah, because you're learning the discernment too of, like you said, without the expectations, or looking at having realistic expectations, which I'm kind of curious, like coming out of this Neptunian fog and moving into this Aquarian kind of different energy that we're moving into as a collective. I think there's a lot of this, and we still have that going on, but I think it's interesting that people who are kind of being more aware, that discernment of awareness of where someone's, what level of attunement they're having, so you can not cycle through the disappointment of expectations. But I'm kind of curious, spoiler alert, may or may not be the universe still giving you an opportunity to be in the presence of someone that you still want their validation, you still want whatever it is. And hey, what better of an opportunity for these relationship dynamics to give you more personal empowerment, the ones that are not fully what you want them to be. Yeah.
Yes. Every interaction that brings up that shadow of seeking validation is always the opportunity to look at, again, from that, which I think tarot gives you the perspective where you can take yourself out of and depersonalize the situation and say, what is this really trying to show me? What do I really need? What is the validation representative of? And how can I give it to myself?
Yeah.
How can I celebrate myself more and take back my power more?
Amen. Yeah, that's completely it. I am also curious, um, when it comes to this topic, we're talking about the attunement and this feeling of sadness and the disappointment that people do naturally go through in different phases and cycles. And I've been through it many times. It's been, oh, up level, and now I grew out of these people, or they grew away from me, or whatever. And I think earlier on there was a sense of continued disappointment. I think now the grief is like, oh, this is just part of the natural process. We don't deny the grief. We let it manifest in the body, release it, move forward, and knowing that there's always an amazing next chapter. It doesn't take the grief away. But I think that the cycle I've seen people get stuck in, and I've been in this myself, where there's sometimes frustration, right? The frustration and the anger, and then not being able to accept and then surrender, which is usually the last step to, like, all of a sudden the new relationship shows up. I'm feeling that people get stuck in that, and the inability to let go, it almost can create this guarding and then an othering that I do see in this
Mm.
type of work, where it's like the people who are not awakened, or this sort of like judging or criticizing as a protection mechanism from, oh, they rejected me, or they're not on the level. And I feel like that's something I'd like to really shine some light on. And I want to hear what you have to say about that.
I think that is also another layer of shadow that can be met,
Yes.
because that goes right into understanding your nervous system. Because then you like all of us, we have all done this when we up level, and then things and people and relationships and stuff that we really loved fell away, and we're like, nope, this is just part of the process, I got to keep going. But then you create this other block, because then you're afraid, if I have this thing, I'm going to lose it all again. I worked so hard to find this new stability, and now it's going to crumble. So we are like, I can't go to the next level, even though you want to. And you're like, yes, I'm here. My ego and I are here to take it on. But your nervous system is like, you don't want to lose this again. And it feels really unsafe. So there's like a cognitive dissonance that happens, which is why I love tarot so much, because it helps you unpack that, like, what those stories. Because I don't know about you, but I'm really crafty. My shadow is super crafty at hiding that stuff. So tarot
Yeah.
helps me with my blind spots.
I'd love to share an example, and I'll share a personal example for what I just completed actually recently in your book. So, one of the tarot spreads that you have in the book is offering to bring up information about the shadow. Now, I'm going to forget exactly what the questions were, but they were like looking at what is the shadow? What is it trying to tell you? Oh my gosh, I'm not going to remember the exact questions. I should have my journal here. But it was interesting because of the information I gleaned from it. The first card was the King of Cups. And again,
Mm.
listeners, you don't have to listen to all the stuff with the tarot. You don't have to be an expert, especially with this book. Like, please don't get intimidated. Like, I don't know anything about tarot. How am I going to do this book? It's very, very informationally easy, and it's got all the stuff in the back for interpreting each card if you need that. So for me, as a over performer growing up, I have a Capricorn moon. So we're going to bring some astrology in here. So having to mature early, not being, I mean, I have to hold things together emotionally because I'm the one that's over structuring and over compensating for everyone else around me that's not actually on the emotional and mature level. So it was really interesting because basically the card was, it was King of Cups, Five of Swords, Three of Wands, and then Three of Swords was the end card. So what I gleaned from this whole entire story was that my nervous system is not feeling safe, or it feels like it has to be the emotionally mature one, and that I have to rely on myself and I can't rely on others, even though I've been moving into that space. So the shadow aspect of moving to my next level was I have to hold it together because people will not be able to support me if I emotionally break down. I'm always the one to hold things together. And this is a story from childhood. So as the listeners are hearing this, like, this helped me because I said, I'm so glad that this came along at the timing of doing my New Year's vision boards and everything. I was like, all right, here's what my exact desire is, which is another part of the book that Stefanie, you go into, helping you figure out what your actual desire is, like with the tarot spreads and the particular pools. But yeah, I'd love to, talk about that a little bit because that is the shadow that I'm now working through and integrating in through reading your book. And it's like so exciting because I'm like, I knew this, but it's just another layer. Like you said, the tangled necklaces, it's just another layer of how it's kind of come in. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that personal example. And
Yeah.
my goodness, do I love a Capricorn moon. I think you guys are some of my favorite moon signs. My husband is a Capricorn moon. It's like, but I feel like I want to hug every Capricorn moon because I
Oh,
know how hard you are. Like, nobody is harder on you than you are on yourself.
that's true. Mine's an eighth house moon too, so it's super intense and hidden.
Oh,
My
it's
structure as
superpower.
yeah, as a medium, that's where everything and how I orient to things, even how everything is structured with the rest of my chart, very much as a medium, I'm very detail oriented, very systems oriented. Nurse just Neptunian vague. Like it has to have a system and a structure. And it's really intriguing to me to map out the spiritual world and manifestation. And as a kind of neurodivergent systems thinker too, like everything, how it connects together in a system, it just feels like it's created a lot more clarity in my work and helping clients understand this nebulous spiritual world because it's just I speak a language of grounding things that seem a little bit untouchable. So I think that's my superpower with my Mercury and my moon in the eighth house. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's very well said.
You
Exactly.
are
Yeah.
like the vessel to hold it. Ooh,
Yeah.
love that.
Are there any stories you'd like to share about the shadow or about some readers that have gone through the book so far or any of to help them where they might have been stuck? I'd love to hear some more examples for our listeners.
I think it's just that how I came up with it is, again, like I was untangling that like necklace that I didn't know. It's like the gold is sitting in the back of the drawer and we don't look at it and then it just gets like tangled and tangled. I had this big chunk of time during my spiritual awakening where I was like isolating away from everybody because I didn't want anybody's energy. I was so nebulous and so taking on, and that it was just leaking all out of me. So I would sit every morning with my coffee and my tarot deck, and I would be like, been so terrified of this drawer full of necklaces that I've hidden away and not looked at that I want to see it all now. And now I have the space. I think I have the strength to look at it. So every morning I would shuffle my deck and I'd be like, okay, what do you got for me today? What aspect of my shadow wants to come forward today? And what
Wow.
healing wants to happen? And I would look at these cards and then see what intuitively came up. And the stuff was wild. I had always been really materially focused in my youth and really, I don't want a family. I don't want kids. I just want to make money and travel and have experiences and have nice things and focus it all on me because of what I didn't get growing up and all that. Like I was a full brat, for lack of a way to put it. I was a selfish little brat. And I spent my 20s feeding her and giving her all the stuff she didn't get and letting her just become a giant toddler baby running around being a brat. So
I love that though, that you gave yourself that what you didn't get. Like that's important, I think, and part of like allowing these parts to grow up within ourselves. So and my brain's thinking, did you have a Leo South Node in the and like I'm looking at like
I have a Leo sun
you have a Leo sun, okay? Because I was like, what? I was like, what
and
would be that
Mercury.
as? Yeah, I was like, what would that aspect be? But honestly, I feel like I don't know if this is something you feel about yourself, but I feel it's so important for people who have that either in their background or a part of their, like the parts of themselves that either they have integrated. I think that's really beautiful to offer to the spiritual community because there's so much fear around scarcity and I don't want to be seen. I don't want everyone to think I'm the best or like that Leo kind of vibe of like, look at me. I want to make money. I deserve luxury. Like in a way, there is, I know, an integrated way to support that in people who have a voice to be seen because you talk a lot about that too in your book about helping people find their voice and I feel like that's part of your medicine for your community and the world and I'd like to let's just talk about that a little bit because that is something I see in the spiritual community where people shy away from being seen or wanting to make money or things like that and you came from that which an unintegrated version but now like this is great medicine. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so it really taught me how to look at those things. And first, it was how to find safety in all the I'm never having children because I didn't work on healing my inner child. And once I did that work around healing my inner child and understanding the non integrated part of giving her everything she wants, and then realizing that I actually really wanted to become the mature mother, not just the mother of an actual human child, but also being able to nurture community instead of being like, I can't, you can't get attention because I'm not getting attention kind of thing. And that's really taught me to understand what resources are and finding that balance between having luxury and the lifestyle. Like it's totally safe and okay and good to have a lifestyle that you love that really reflects you and having the resources to share. I I don't want to get too controversial, but I get really annoyed when people just want to complain about billionaires and yell eat the rich and like all this stuff and then they're sitting there doing like manifestation
Mm-hmm.
because you want money too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, what if we didn't demonize wealth in that way and we were doing great things with resources and feeding it back into the community
Yes.
and not putting people up on pedestals, but instead of, hey, if we have a platform and a pedestal, let me hold my hand, come with me. Let's all go up together. There's more than enough to go around. I think that patriarchy and what's happening in our world is the manifestation of scarcity and lack.
Yeah. Well, if anyone does sit down and really takes time with their shadow, and it can be triggering to say, it is misuse of power when, the wealthy are doing this and that and there. But then it's the same thing with any other category of things where we have a stigma around this group of people and not all group of people that are wealthy or billionaires or doing this with their life. And I think that's something that's also a hurdle to people then in their nervous system, especially to
Yeah.
becoming wealthy, because you're like, I don't want to be then an object of that. But I do think when you said something about 10%, again, I don't know, there's no way for us to tell how many people are doing this work. I wish we could tell. I wish someone could tell us, because it is collectively evolving our communities individually, our families. And I really want to honor the work you're doing and the work that everyone out there is doing who's listening, like you said, Stefanie, to become that mature mother, to be able to hold community and hold containers of community, because that ripples out so much. And I don't want anyone out there who's listening to downplay any act of leadership that you do. Even if you say, I'm not a leader, well, maybe you're influencing your children. Maybe you don't lead groups or public speaking. This idea of what a leader is, I think it's important that you're leading through the darkness with your lantern. Like you're the hermit card. You're going in and you're finding this light. And I think that's when people bring out that and share it with the world in their own way, it's changing things. And that's how we change these big corruptions with the patriarchy and things like that. It's one person at a time. But I completely understand the trigger, because I feel that too. That's been actually something I've had to continue to work through, because as I've made more money over the years, there have been loss of friends. And again, it continues to move forward with the projections and expectations you have on people. I don't know about you, but I know you said you studied human design. I'm a 2-5. So my 5 line, I get projected upon, and thank God for that information, because I just realized it's just part of the journey. Either I'm the visionary or the heretic, and it's nothing to do with me. And it's bringing me more opportunities to look at the shadows, look at the fears also in myself too, of like, how do I wield integrity in my leadership so that I doesn't matter what anyone else is saying. If they project onto me, that's their own fear and unconsciousness. So I'm rambling a little bit now, but yeah,
Not
I'd
at
love
all.
to. Okay.
I'm a 5-1. So
Okay.
I have that 5 line also.
Yeah.
And I had to really make peace with that, but learning about human design and learning that people are always just going to project onto me that I'm either, oh, you're the person that I need to go to save me. And then
Yeah.
the projection just continues. And then you do something just being yourself. And then they like hate you
Yeah.
and not taking it personal.
Yes. Now, this is interesting too, talking about the 5 lines. So anyone out there, I think using tarot, using astrology, using human design, all this stuff to really uncover your shadows, manifest the life that's meant for you, that's right here for you waiting, I think is important. And I'm curious with your 5 line, because one of the things with the 5 line, if I'm correct, because I'm not an expert in human design, is it's like there is this one to many aspect of the personality, like you writing books, you being online, you doing one-on-one consultations too, but this aspect of like, I do my thing and then I send it to the entire masses. And because of that, there'll be more projection because there's more people involved. And I'm wondering about your draw to work specifically with Hay House, because it was in 2001 that I read my first Louise Hay book. And I'm actually listening to your audiobook as well. So I'm listening to your voice. And when you were saying that when you first heard Louise Hay's book and her affirmations book, you heard her voice, you were like, oh my gosh, this is my thing. And now you're published with Hay House. I had this same feeling about this amazing woman that's created. She's been this mother of so many people that have continued to now do the work that you're doing, and all these other authors with the publishing company doing the same work. So I'm curious how your 5 line has contributed to you doing the one to many, and what was the thing that really drew you in deeper to work with Hay House as a spiritual entrepreneur?
It's maybe not the response that you would expect. I believe that we manifest things and we're always manifesting, even if we're not aware of it. My first Oracle deck, going back many years, for all you older spiritual folks, remember Miss Doreen Virtue, who was the one of the previous big queens of Hay House. So I had a bunch of her decks, angel decks and things like that. I really was into her decks back in the day, and I still have them. And she was with Hay House, so I always had a stack of Hay House stuff. And then Louise Hay, and learning about her story, and other authors and people that I worked with that were also published through Hay House. It's just they're a huge spirituality publishing house. I did not set out to become published by them. That's just who picked up my book. And we could have a whole other conversation about the publishing world and putting out your manuscript and having everybody else passed. And Hay House was the one that was like, we love this. We love you. Come. And I was like, wow, what a full circle moment. That's how it manifested. And I didn't even, there was no resistance around it. Like I wasn't sitting there putting Hay House on a vision board and writing love letters that it was going to be that. It just, that's how it happened. And as far as my 5 line, this is just how it's always been. It's a thing that I've never tried to control or say that I need to be a public facing person. It's just how everything's always gone.
Yes. No, I completely understand and relate to that. And I was just talking to my office manager yesterday about, isn't it interesting that every single opportunity that's come along, as I continue to just do my thing and do my work and find alignment, remaining in alignment is a huge priority and value of mine. And alignment definition to me is really being aware. And does not mean you don't go through grief or sadness or shadow. It's just being aware and making full decisions as consciously as you can in each moment. And I think that's alignment. And as I continue to stay in alignment, this showed up. That's interesting. And so many opportunities, like I didn't even go searching for them. And that's why I thought it was very interesting that Pip, one of the head publicists for you guys, just randomly called me. I'm like, a little place in New York, Pennsylvania. And I thought that's so interesting because my next journey is moving into this field of writing book. And every single author we've had, just the universe does such a great job. Just here's a little breadcrumb of some more information you need to get past some things that are blocking you. And your book is no different. So I'm so eternally grateful for the way the universe works. I'm sure you are too. It's so amazing. But I want to talk about briefly these love letters to the universe. It's just so important to talk about this that you talk about in your book. So let's dive into that.
Yes, thank you. So I actually sold this book and the title was called Love Letters to the Universe. And then when I got into the writing process with my editor, their marketing team sat down and they were like, we love the love letters, but there's so much good tarot information and seeing tarot in a completely different way. Nobody's written a book about tarot and manifesting. So we really think we need to spell it out. So they changed it. But really, all of the shadow work and all of the manifestation steps are really leading up to this creative practice of writing the love letter to the universe. And so I call it love letters because I don't know if you've ever written one or received one, but they're hot. We talk about this need for validation and this need for being chosen. And we're manifesting things because we want it to bring us an emotional feeling. And manifestation rhetoric says, just be it before it shows up. When I'm sitting here crying and sad that I don't have this thing that I see thrust in my face all over the place that is possible, but it doesn't feel possible for me. How do I pretend to be that? This feels like the epitome of spiritual bypassing. But when you're in creativity and when you're writing a love letter, like loving somebody telling you how amazing you are and that you're the most special person and that they can't wait to be around you, and telling you all of the reasons why you just inspire them. You are the muse. Or if you're writing that to somebody else, so you're telling them like how they are your muse and how you just need to be near them. And it's really hard to focus on being bummed out about something when you're in that energy. Mm-hmm. And so that's the way that I've been manifesting, is like, no matter what my 3D reality is showing me, I can connect with the feelings that I want to feel when I'm writing about it. And there's something really important about connecting your own handwriting and not like typing it on your phone or typing it on a computer. our subconscious minds are formed from age 0 to 7. And it's around like 5, 6, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that you're developing your writing, which is really interesting that Saturn cycles are 2.5 years. So you think about when you're born at 2.5 years, you start potty training, and that's the first hard thing that you ever have to do. And then you master that, and then 2.5 years later, you learn how to write. And then 2.5 years later, you learn how to read. All your progress and all the maturity in the world can just be linked back to Saturn. So anyways, random tangent. So you learn how to write, and that is like a subconscious mind. You're accessing your inner child. You're connecting this, making things real in your body, your nervous system. All of that happens when you're writing. So that's why I think it's so important. Instead of just writing a list, which you can do if you need to jumpstart and find some clarity around what do you really want. But then writing that love letter and putting your 5 senses into it. Whatever it is you're trying to manifest, like it's a new house, like instead of focusing on the details of it, put the emotions into it. Like, what does your house smell like? Are you a scented candle girly? Are you an incense burner? Do you make your own organic holistic cleaners? Are you an essential oil person? What scents do you bring into your home? What's the lighting like? What do you feel when your eyes open in the morning? Are you a blackout drapes person, or are you like see-through breezy drapery so the light can hit you and help you wake? Like, what are those things? When you write for people manifesting a relationship, I always say your love letter should be your lazy Sunday. Just a mundane, normal day. And then you get like worried about, oh, how am I going to meet this person? And get caught up on the details. Like, what? You're already in the relationship. What is your Sunday routine? Do you sleep in? Do you like to get up early and go for a hike? Do you have a dog? Are you animal people? Do you like to cook? Are you going to go to the farmer's market? What's your vibe? How do you spend your day together? How do you make little memories as a couple and strengthen that bond? So whatever it is, whatever you're manifesting, what's your lazy Sunday? Completely mundane. That's your love letter. And tell the universe like how good it feels and how regulated, calm, and peaceful you feel. All that kind of good stuff.
Manifestation is truly a creative process of co-creating with the universe and co-creating in a place of clarity from everything I'm hearing from you. And that clarity comes through the shadow work, the self-awareness work, the looking at really where things might need to shift in your beliefs, your patterns. And I think that creative process of getting into the flow state, or we could say like an alpha brainwave state, or maybe even like a deeper meditation, like through either artwork, coloring, drawing, but you're doing it for journaling too. That also brings us into that state in our consciousness that I feel really helps to anchor in more of a new belief, because that's what people are doing with hypnotherapy. They're trying to get you in an altered state and then hacking into your subconscious mind. And that's why I feel, for me personally, I don't know about everybody, but when I'm journaling or writing, I am totally like, I go into channel mode. So I'm just like stream of consciousness. And then I'm like, wow, that was definitely an altered state. So whatever's happening, I'm rewriting the script in there. And that's why I find it for me so powerful. So I love that you in this book have put everything together for us as tools. And I'm really excited to complete it and finish it. But I'd like to move forward because with timing for you today, speaking of timing, divine timing and the waiting room. So here's a quote from your book. It's important to be aware that manifesting any situation, relationship, or job is not necessarily your end point. These are stepping stones along your path, which never actually ends. There are necessary parts of your story that are uncomfortable for good reason. The universe wants you to keep going instead of getting stuck in your comfort zone. And you describe something called the cosmic waiting room. So this is what I think so many feel like they're waiting in right now or before their manifestation. So how do we help people avoid losing faith when they're in that place?
Becoming patient and becoming a more mature version of yourself and anchoring into a new identity. Like the 3D always lags behind. You can quantum leap at any moment. Any moment you make the decision to claim a new timeline and a new identity, energetically you're there. But it's going to take a little bit of time for the universe to rearrange itself to start giving you evidence and proof. So it's really, this is another reason why tarot has been really helpful to me. And there are tarot spreads in there for you to do to help you when you're like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. There's nothing happening. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't want to feel stressed about this. I want to just be able to relax and live my life. That's when it's okay, bringing those future self activities you can anchor into when you're in the cosmic waiting room. And I think becoming your own hype person and your own cheerleader, and again, finding those community spaces where you can have other people that know what's happening and can help you remember what you're moving towards. I try every single day during my toddler's nap time to go on my manifestation walks where I can just, because I'm physically moving my body. So it feels like even if nothing around me is appearing to shift, I'm moving. So I'm reaffirming that new timeline.
There's movement.
So however you can make movement that's within your control.
Yes. Love it.
Don't strangle it.
Don't strangle the universe. Making sure that you have your connection with your people that are supportive, being your personal hype person. Just so everyone there on here, our listeners, we're going to go into some things that Stefanie has to offer for you too. But just remember that the Spiritual Steep Book Club is a monthly book club. It's absolutely free to join. You're welcome to get books on sale at our local metaphysical bookstore that's been open since 1987 here in York, Pennsylvania. So if you're local, but you're able to join us online too. If you don't have a community, this is a hybrid offering. So Stefanie will be joining us online, and this is January 22nd. So we're going to be doing a live Q&A with you after we read your book. And this is every month. We bring in a different author. And we're so fortunate that we're working with Hay House specifically right now. I've gotten reached out by other publishing companies, but we're just working with you guys right now because we love you. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So that's something to reach out to a community. And our Conscious Connection Social Club here at Firefly Hollow. Again, we have online offerings and we have a lot of outings and things we go to support other businesses and just do fun things. And this is a community that's run by the community. So if you're not aware of that in your local, please tap into that at Firefly Hollow Wellness's website. And then Stefanie, I want to know what offerings you have for people to touch deeper with your work, get involved with what you're doing. And I know you have some cool things you just announced today on your social media that you'll be coming and doing soon.
Yes, thank you. So I got the call over the last year to step back from my one-on-one tarot and astrology readings and to really focus more on community building. And I also believe in having free offerings because you never know where people are at. And like you are in your 5 line, they're going to find you when they need you. So as the online space is getting so saturated with AI, and again, we were talked about that comparison. I think it's so important to share the stories of artists and writers and creatives and healers, mental health practitioners, the people that I've met on this journey that are doing incredible community care-based projects and work that cannot be touched by AI. Like you're not too late to the party. The market is not oversaturated. You have a voice and you have a message. And so instead of being jealous of or comparison or feeling like flight or fight or fawn about like making moves, you can come and watch my IG stories or my IG lives. I started, it's called the Magician series. And every couple of weeks, I'm going to have these people that I've been fortunate to meet come and share their stories and the inspirational magical mountains they've moved to basically birth their creations and the steps that they're taking beyond that and communities that they're building. So I would love to have you come and stop by that. And I think that's pretty much it for now. But that's like my on Instagram, it's at Moonvoid Tarot.
Perfect. And we'll put all that information in the show notes for you guys for easily clicking, getting her book, all the fun stuff. And I really love that you're doing that because voices in the community that are doing big things don't always have a platform to be heard because they're busy doing big things.
Yes.
we're busy. Like this is where my whole my whole life has been in this kind of bubble of this local community that we're doing so much. We have an expo. It's our 24th year this year. We have over 100 vendors, and we're working with Pip to get some Hay House guys there this year because we got a travel grant. We're doing big things with local community and rooting things. That's just what my life is behind the scenes. So this is my only portal to the outside world consistently because I don't do consistent social media showing up yet. So
And
I
that's what
know
yes, I feel
there
like
are
I'm
people.
grabbing those people that don't want to
Mhm.
talk about it. We look at like Instagram and we look at all these people with viral reels and YouTube. Those people are masters of creative marketing. And then we have people like us that are
Movers and
masters
shakers.
of relational
Yeah.
marketing where
Yeah.
it's word of mouth. It's our
Yes.
local like boots on the ground where we don't have time for all of that. So I'm pulling my hermits and pulling my two-line people.
Yeah.
But I'm pulling you out of your office and just chat with me in a raw, unfiltered, unfancy, because people need to see that like we're
Mhm.
not perfect.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
may look glamorous, but
Yes.
we're just normal people
Yes.
that are willing to fail publicly and until we stumble on the thing.
I'm completely in line with that. I love
You're
that.
gonna have to come. I'm gonna make you come on and have a chat if
You
you're
don't have
open
to
to
make
it.
me. I am just happy to share with anybody. I think it's amazing that you're doing that. And I look forward to listening to all that and hearing more about other people I don't know about. So, yeah, thank you so much. Other than that, Stephanie, do you have time for two more quick questions or do we have to go?
Okay. Yep. We're good.
Okay, great. All right. So, these are the last two questions I ask anyone that comes on the podcast for the first time. The first one is if you could detox one thing in either your life or the world right now, what would that be?
Ooh. There's so many things. I wish everybody would turn the news off and touch grass. I think we all need a digital detox, but I also think that we all need like a filter detox. Even though I'm wearing makeup here, but like the ageism and the perfectionism around getting older and feeling like you have to keep up with all of altering things. I would love to detox that.
Let's move into a decade or more of where authenticity and being real is actually
The
valued. And I
yeah, the
think it
face
will
you are
be.
born with is
I think it
a
will be.
beautiful, perfect face.
The pendulum always swings. Right now it's because of AI and so much things being fake. It is now even more an opportunity for the collective to learn discernment and also have a gravitation or a desire for something that's real. So I do
Yeah.
think that's absolutely a possibility because we got tired of it and we're like, I want something that's real. There it
Yeah.
is. No filter, no makeup. Yeah, and I'm touching grass and being real in the real world. But you may people that still go on down the dopamine addiction stuff, but that's why they have all sorts of cool tools like you, and everybody's doing their work to help them when they're ready to say, are you ready to get rid of that? It's blocking your best life.
Good question.
What is your favorite product, self-care indulgence, or activity? Like what is you really doing to fill your cup up at this time?
Oh, and that's such a loaded question. I spoke a little bit earlier. I'm not a new mom, but I'm a new-ish mom. My daughter is going to be 3 soon, but I'm finally getting back into the things that taking more time for myself and coming at it in my 40s versus before I got pregnant at 39. So my self-care was my 30s, and then I had this threshold of my 40s and didn't recognize myself anymore, and the things that I used to do that I loved weren't hitting anymore. So I'm figuring that out, but every day I have to take a walk by myself and be I need sunlight on my face. I need to touch grass. I need to have one uninterrupted hour where nobody needs me. And with a 5 line, everybody needs you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody has where you don't have to perform for anybody. You don't have to solve any problems. You can just exist in your own energy. I think that is like my biggest act of self-care right now.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think with being in Florida, right? You're in Florida?
Yes, I know. I feel so bad for
Yeah.
it. It's really cold
No, you
everywhere. And I'm
just
like, it's very hot outside.
You get the opportunity to be out in the sunshine, and so soak it up for all of us. We really need some of those rays up here in the middle of January here we are in 2026. So yeah, wonderful. It's been a pleasure. I really am so grateful. Thank you for being a sage guide on my journey, and the universe popping your book out of you and coming into my doorstep with the beautiful synchronicities that had arrived. So I'm really grateful and excited to see you on January 22nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So those of you, again, this is absolutely free to join. Books are available at New Vision, so you can get her book on Audible. You can get it directly through Hay House. So I will leave the information in the show notes, but check it out, get the book. Even if you don't read the whole thing, join us and bring your tarot deck if you're coming online, because after we do a live Q&A with Stefanie, we're going to be doing, instead of vision boards this year, I decided for our community, Stefanie, we're going to ask a couple of the questions, and people together, you don't have to have a tarot deck. She says in the book, you can have an oracle deck. If you don't have one, you can get one at New Visions, or I can offer you one and let you borrow one. But I really would love to have you bring it, because we're going to do a community activity to dive into some of the things in her book and have some conversations around it with our community. So yes. Anything else you want to share with us, Stefanie?
I don't know. I feel like we had so much. This was so cool. I feel like now I want to ask you a million questions. So everybody, if you enjoyed this conversation, come check out when Kara comes in and gets in my hot seat.
I will totally share it with the community too, for sure. Absolutely. Well, thank you again, everyone. Thank you for being on here, Stefanie. Thank you for listening to the Mind Body Detox podcast. If you love this podcast, share it with others and leave us a review. Your reviews help us more than you know and supports us continuing to make episodes and being heard from all over the world. You can also follow the link in our show notes to submit a topic that you would like to hear on the show.